Hello and welcome to episode 93 of This Week in Germany. We'll be bringing the world to Germany and Germany to the world with news for the week beginning the 12th of October 2015. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Rob. Each week we feature stories from the news, society, and culture in the English language. If you want to find out more, including ways to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, head over to our website, thisweekingermany.de. And so begins episode number 93, coming up on that 100th episode.
Yes, and we've got lots of really cool stuff planned for the 100th episode. We still can't quite reveal the details of it yet, but we're in the planning and production phase of it now, and it's going to be really cool. We'll let you know as soon as we can.
Yeah, when we know more, you'll know more.
Yes, and we'll tell you how to get tickets or how to reserve your place at least in the next episode, maybe episode after that, hopefully, we'll see. So, yes, but as for episode 93, we have lots of cool stuff coming up, and one of the people that we're going to be talking about, in fact, our German of the week, is Horst Seehofer.
Yes, it's a pretty interesting story because he's with the CSU, which works closely with the CDU, with Angela Merkel heading that, and they're having a bit of a controversy to those two about some politics. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah,
Horst Seehofer is launching a legal act. Oh, no, he's not. He's threatening to launch a legal action against Angela Merkel. Now, these two people, they work closely, and these two parties, the CDU and the CSU, work closely together in government. In fact, they're in a union. So, yeah, it seems like a very awkward bust-up, but we'll get to that later on in the program. And we've got a cool destination coming up for you as well.
Is the Felix Nussbaum house. That is located in Osnabrück, and it's kind of this art theme. It's an art museum, and it centers around ideas on racism and intolerance. And not just what is inside, but the actual structure of the place is one of the exhibits as well.
So a very, very jolly topic. So, yes, but very interesting one. We'll get to that later on as well. And also we'll have some news in brief. Apparently President Gauck has been going to some cool places. Where's he gone, President Gauck?
He has gone and he has shook hands, had some talks with President Obama about some German-U.S. relationship type things, yeah. And he's also now gone to South Korea as well, and he's talking with the South Korean government about what steps can be taken to try and make a reunification between the Koreas, between North and South Korea.
And if anyone knows about reunification, it's definitely President Gauck. I mean, he was involved in the project to open up the Stasi archives and this kind of thing. And he lived in East Germany. So he if anyone knows about reunification, it would be him. Yep. So, yeah, very interesting. We'll get all into that topic a little later on. But first, we're going to start with a film review, actually. We're going to go a little bit in depth with this one as well, because it's a controversial subject and a very interesting one. Ist wieder da was a book which sold around 2 million copies in its book and audiobook forms, and was very, very successful. Rob, have you heard of this, Ist wieder da, the book?
I have not read it yet, unfortunately, even though now they do have it in English as well, because I don't know if I could quite get all of it just trying to read it in German, but it would translate to like he's back, and it's about Hitler coming back from the dead, not like as a zombie, but just back in present day society.
Yeah, so without explanation, he just appears. He wakes up in the position of where the Führerbunker was in Berlin, and has to deal with, I think it's 2011 Berlin. And it's a fascinating, hilarious story, but also a bit of a controversial one in Germany, because you have the newspapers asking, can you really make fun of Hitler after all of the bad things that he did? And I think the answer in the end is yes, you can. And I think even more so, because of all the bad things he did, you can make fun of him. And now there's a film out. And so me and Malachi went along to watch the film, and we're going to review it for you right here on This Week in Germany. But first, we spoke a while ago now, probably like 60, 70 episodes ago, with the author of the book Ist wieder da. His name is Timo Wermisch, and here's what he had to say about the film.
You see, more people are taking part of it. It's a process which involves more opinions, more creativity of other people, and that diminishes your control. So you have to, in some points, you have to say, do I keep control or do I have to let go? And yeah, I'm so surprised that there are movies, big movies, where you think, well, this movie, it's so, something like, for example, Gravity, a movie where you think, this is a good idea, and it looks like the whole movie was done from one person, exactly knowing what he is going to do. But of course, if you think about it, even in a movie like Gravity, there are many, many people involved. So how is this possible? On the other part, you see movies where you think, oh, it starts as a comedy and ends as a horror movie. This is definitely a movie full of compromise where everyone wanted to have its say and everyone could be part of it, but in the end you get a terrible mix. But of course I love movies, so I enjoy being part of it, and I won't keep control till the last. It's not possible. You have to make some decisions, and you can't guarantee a good or bad result. So.
Having read the book and then seeing it on screen, you know, sometimes it adds something completely new or sees it from a different angle. It's always interesting to see.
What I, of course, can say and what I experienced, is, which is totally new to me, because I'm not used to write for screen or anything. But if you see in casting parts, you see the first time people actually reading or playing a scene you have written. Well, it's kind of moving because you're not used to it. They are actually, you're writing something down and other people are playing this. This is a very, very moving experience.
So, we're about to go in and watch the film, ist wieder da. I'm here with Malachi. So, Malachi, where are we?
In the movie theater.
Yes. Well, we haven't gone in yet to the actual screen. We're standing outside. What do you think it's going to be like?
I don't know. I haven't read the book. I just heard that it made a big splash a couple years back when I first arrived in Germany, and now they're making, I guess, Erst wieder da refers to Hitler, who is back for some reason and for some purpose that is yet to be determined.
Have you seen the trailer yet, or any clips, or anything like that?
No, I haven't seen anything, so I'm
you're
walking
going
in blind.
Right, okay. Well, I won't give anything away. I've seen just a few clips online, so I guess let's go in and check it out.
All right.
Unter welchem Namen soll ich denn Ihre E-Mail eintragen?
Na, unter meinem natürlich, Adolf Hitler.
Sorry, wenn ich jetzt nochmal nachfrage, aber heißen Sie wirklich so?
Nein, ich heiße natürlich nicht wirklich so. In Wirklichkeit heiße ich Schmuel Rosenzweig.
Na, das ist doch super. Schmuel ist doch doof. Schmuel, schreibe ich das mit H?
Das war ein Scherz.
Adolf Hitler ist weg.
Was weg? Jemand hat meinen Namen da.
Und wenn Sie einfach einen anderen Namen nehmen?
Sie meinen wie ein Pseudonym?
Na, quasi.
Nehmen Sie die neue Reichskanzlei. Die habe ich immer gemocht.
So, we've just seen the film, and it's now time to, well, talk about our initial reactions. So, yeah, what did you think?
Well, I want to say the good stuff first, because I don't. You know, last time we talked about Elsa, this film about the guy that almost blew up Hitler and failed, and
that was a drama.
I think we both agreed that it was that it was so serious and so and it filled this German niche of serious historical movie about Hitler, and I just wanted to express my appreciation for them trying to broach this subject in a different way, in a way that was comedy, in a way that was maybe some social commentary, in a way that was a little bit more out of the box than just your typical run-of-the-mill dead serious high contrasty historical film. So I did like that about it, in the sense that they tried.
Yeah. So you say they tried, so did they succeed in that, and did they succeed in making a good film?
No, they didn't succeed in making a good or watchable or worthwhile film, but partly, I think, because they didn't know what kind of film they were making. Part of the film is a slapstick comedy, part of the film is a dark kind of comedy, part of the film is a Borat-style what do you call it?
Those are kind of candid camera kind of thing where there's real people caught in these funny situations. But it seems in a lot of those, which I think this had the potential to be Germany's Borat, as in to be controversial, to poke at some social aspect of German culture, because what came out in the film, but I think came out kind of ended up reinforcing it, was war guilt, and how people have this, the Hitler still haunts German culture kind of thing. But rather than using that as a tool to provoke and get the comedy out of that uncomfortableness in those kinds of situations, instead it felt like it tried to do that a little bit and then backed off. And that it ended up being these candid scenes weren't actually funny, because the only thing they did is, let's put Hitler in this situation. Well, and there wasn't any writing to these funny scenes. There wasn't any any kind of construct. And I think what they did with Borat is that they were real people in real situations, but there
was like a gag. There was a situation.
Yeah.
There was like some kind of setup.
Yeah, but one which Borat as the character could lead while still being surrounded by normal people, without their having to hope that there would be a joke in the end. They'd kind of set it up, but there would be real people in there.
Yeah, and this one it was just kind of like Hitler walks up to a random group of people, and either they kind of are playing along with the joke, in which case it's not funny, or they actually are racist, and then that's also not funny.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like,
So it seemed to me like they probably filmed a load of those scenes and nothing really happened, because they didn't write them. They didn't write his lines. He was just like, oh, okay, if they're racist, say, yes, that's exactly what I would do. And, yeah, that seemed a shame, really. And then the rest of the film, which wasn't in this style, which was, filmed as a normal film, it just jumped from one scene to the other, very short scenes, some of them completely pointless. Okay, why is this here? What did this scene tell us? And just desperately trying to find a narrative. And it seemed a shame, really, because...
It does seem a shame, because it just seems like a topic that would really, somebody who could take a satirical look at Germany's relationship with Hitler would really be, I think, a boon. It would be something that was handled really well and really cleverly. Could be something that could really make people think about it. But this was, obviously, it's not the Germans who are going to be able to do that.
Well, it's not the first film of its kind. There was another one a while ago called something like Truly Truest Truth About Adolf Hitler, or something like that, which was also pretty lame. And yeah, and the probably the worst part, I would say, which really frustrated me, is after the initial credits rolled, there was then some pictures of people on the street, normal people, seeing Hitler drive past in a car, and they gave the Hitler salute, and then it all kind of slowed down and went all dark and was like, but you know what?
It's real.
But you know what? It's this exact situation which I could work with, and then it showed things like Pegida and Marine Le Pen and right-wing politicians, and the Golden Dawn Party in Greece and this kind of thing, and it just made me think that, okay, but these people doing a joke salute on the street is not saying they love Hitler. It's just they thought, okay, it's really funny because I saw Hitler in a car, and then. It's like, okay, so if you have a serious message to say about how Hitler would be in today's society, don't just shove it onto the end of your film and, tell me this is what the message is, by the way, in case you didn't get it. No, you meant to, rather than telling me at the end, you're meant to put it throughout the film. You're meant to show it. The film is meant to be integrated with that message, and the message integrated with the film, not just tack it onto the end and say, okay, I know we've all had fun here, but there is a serious message. And that's what it felt like. So, yeah, how many thumbs up would you give it? How many popcorn bags? How many, I don't know.
I'd give it 2 out of 5 for effort. And that's pretty generous.
That is pretty generous, actually. So, yeah, I would say, all in all, a bit disappointing. And yet another bad German comedy film. Germany
We've got to see some good German movies at some point, Daniel.
There are some really good...
Recommend some.
Well, there are some really good German movies. We saw some of them, like Das Leben der Anderen, for example, which is a really great film. And Goodbye Lenin is another good one. And that's a comedy film as well, but it seems particularly in comedies, Germany does really badly.
Germans aren't famous for their sense of humor. We know that.
Yes, but I wouldn't say it's that. I think there's just something in the filmmaking culture which just falls down at comedy. I mean, we talked about Traumschiff Surprise and
Maybe that was the problem
Manitou.
with this film, is it didn't have enough gay jokes. Really overly flamboyant.
Yes, it needed some flamboyant gay jokes. Okay. Well, thank you very much for for putting up with this film. And
Can't wait to put up with the next one.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Bye, Daniel.
Goodbye.
I owe you $10.
Yeah, you can pay me that now. We're still recording, by the way. You know,
Okay.
that's the money.
Sound of your cat.
And now for this week's News in Brief. German President Joachim Gauck has been quite busy this week, flying around the globe. This past Wednesday, Gauck traveled to the United States to meet with President Obama. This was actually a quite historic event, as it was the first time a German president has been inside the White House's Oval Office in almost 20 years. The reason the two presidents met was to discuss and reaffirm the good relationship between Germany and the USA. They discussed a number of world topics that affected both countries, such as the refugee crisis in Europe. Obama said that Germany was a role model for other countries to look for on how to deal with what's happening and how to help people in their dire need. They also discussed the trust issue between the two countries, with all the spy scandals that have surfaced. Obama reassured Gauck that the U.S. will continue to be a strong ally of Germany. This past Sunday, Gauck traveled to South Korea to speak about what it might take to reunify this troubled peninsula. The German government has once again honored a not national but world-recognized day, a day titled World Day Against the Death Penalty. This day is October 10th and is the 13th year since the creation of the day, which calls for countries around the world to end capital punishment once and for all. Germany's Commissioner for Human Rights Policies and Humanitarian Aid, Christoph Strasser, believes that there is no place for this type of punishment in today's society. He is encouraging people all over to work against what he says is a cruel and inhumane punishment. This type of protest may be working, as, in general, most countries are moving away from capital punishment as a form of sentencing for crimes. But countries like China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq all have had increased executions. Strasser and others believe that this punishment and other forms of human rights violations promote instability throughout the world. A rally was scheduled and carried out in Berlin this past weekend to protest the free trade talks known as the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, or the TTIP. The organizers of the rally said that they expected somewhere between 50,000 and maybe up to 100,000 people to take part in the protest. They said they were quite surprised when over 250,000 people showed up to show their support and voice their opposition to the TTIP. The German Trade Union Confederation said that they had never seen so many people take to the streets for this issue. One of the many issues that the protesters dislike about the TTIP is that they believe it will lead to widespread deregulation and reduce the scope of government involvement in the stable business practices. When people hear the word Iron Man, they might first think of the Marvel superhero dressed up in a metal suit. But there's also another Iron Man, and it takes place each year, which is a race of all races. And the participants are not that much different than the superhero himself. Iron Man is a mega triathlon race. It starts off with a swim of 3.86 kilometers. Then there's a 180-kilometer bike ride, and it finishes with a full marathon. That's 42.4 kilometers. And who won the Ironman that just took place in Hawaii this past week? German Jan Frodeno. He did the swim, the biking, and the running all in just 8 hours going straight. Frodeno described the journey as brutal, saying that there was no shade at all and you were moving uphill much of the time. It was also quite hot there, with temperatures going up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. He's no stranger to a triathlon, though. In 2008, Jan won the gold medal in the Summer Olympic Games in Beijing. The second place contestant in this race also happened to be German, Andreas Rehlert. And coming up right now is Boom! Destination Germany, where we take you on a journey somewhere in the country that we think is well worth a visit. Whether you're a tourist or a permanent resident, a foreigner or a German citizen, Here we'll be covering the famous sights of Germany as well as those little-known corners of Deutschland.
Boom!
All that matters is that we're going to show you that Germany is a exciting and interesting place to visit.
Boom!
Boom, boom, bam! It's like a cooking show. So if you enjoy the destinations that we talk about each week, go to our website, thisweekingermany.de, and we'll have photos of each week's destination.
Well, for those of you who didn't catch our destination Germany from last week, we went to the Kospudener See, that's Kospudener Lake, for those people who don't speak German, on the outskirts of Leipzig. And this kind of watery spot is great for a relaxing getaway if you're the type of person who likes to go hiking or hanging around water and getting away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Or if you want to play some sports and grill with your friends, it's one of these cool places. So the main thing that we want to take you to take away from this is that if you're in a huge city which is nowhere near the ocean, there are places which are like a short bike ride or a tram ride away where you can hang out on a beach. Germans love to hang around their lakes. It's a big thing, especially in the summer. It's really, really cool. But even in the wintertime, if you need to go somewhere and get away from the city, it's a great place to go to. So I like it when we talk about these kind of out-of-the-way spots that might be somewhere that people haven't heard about through their normal, I don't know, from tourist brochures or something in Germany. Not saying that some of the country's massive museums and castles aren't good destinations, just that the little ones can be just as or even more exciting at times.
Well, I think that you and everyone kind of that thinks similar in that train of thought is in luck this week, because I have a destination in mind that will merge between the diamond in the rough type destination and a major culturally relevant museum or art exhibition. We're going to travel to the city of Osnabrück, located in the state of Lower Saxony, and specifically to a unique little museum that has only been around for about 20 years. And you might not be familiar with this city, Osnabrück, but it is actually pretty large.
How large is large?
Well, I didn't know much about it before this week, besides hearing its name from the news from time to time. But the city and the metro area have over 250,000 people in it, so it's not like a small town or anything like that.
So where is Osnabrück on the map? If we think of Germany, a mental map of Germany, where is it?
Osnabrück, and as well as our destination, are located about 30 minutes northeast of Münster and about an hour and a half west of Hanover. That gives you a better idea.
So it's kind of like it's in the north of Germany then?
Yeah.
And so now that we know where our destination is physically located, what place in Osnabrück are we talking about this week?
I want to tell you all about the Felix Nussbaum house. And it's a museum that honors an artist for whom it's named. It has a host of it does host other art exhibitions as well, and the architecture of the museum is an actual art exhibit as well.
So who is, or rather who was, Felix Nussbaum?
Nussbaum was born in the city of Osnabrück in 1904, and like many of those, his life was tragically taken inside Auschwitz in 1944. He was a painter, and he was said to be one of the key artists who was also a victim of this age, and who was able to document the ideology of the National Socialist Germany. In his paintings, viewers can see his history. You can see it through his eyes as well as how he created it through his brush. His paintings became an act of resistance where atrocities were being committed all around him, and his art is what helped him retain his human dignity and gave him strength to survive as long as he did.
Is he one of those many artists who weren't successful during their lives, but rather found fame after they died?
He did experience some success in the Berlin art scene, but that was cut short due to the events that followed, and it wasn't really until the 1970s, which was well after his death, that his paintings were rediscovered, and that is when he really started becoming popular. So
how were his paintings rediscovered?
It was really with the hard work from Felix's cousin, Augusta Moses Nussbaum. That is the reason his legacy is what it is today. She found many of his paintings that were located in Brussels, and by working with the city of Osnabrück and its Cultural History Museum, they were able to bring 180 pieces back to Germany. The Cultural History Museum decided that this collection was way too large and important just to display in their current structure, so they built an entire new annex to their museum and named it the Felix Nussbaum House.
And this building has a special significance, right?
Yeah, the building was designed by an American architect named Daniel Liebeskind, and it was supposed to convey the feeling of tragedy for what it was like for this painter during the years leading to his death. In this building, there are narrow corridors, unpredictable intersections, small and tight spaces, uneven floors, and even breaks in the pathway. And much of the interior has that cold concrete wall feeling, so you get a sense of impossible escape. A happy place.
It sounds like it. And is there any other art on display, or is it mostly just the permanent collection of Felix Nussbaum?
Yeah, other artwork also comes in display in the museum on a rotating basis. Many times it focuses on the themes around racism and intolerance. Right now, there's a group of different artists that have just been put on display starting last week in September, or the last week in September. And this group is part of the concrete art movement, and their work stems from the 1970s. And it's based on abstraction, and they use mathematics in a way to find new compositions using geometric shapes, lines, and surfaces. The idea is to look at the development of constructionalism that dates pre-war leading to the concrete art movement. So not exactly about racism and intolerance in this particular short time display, but a lot of them will have that type of theme.
Wow, so it seems like this place has a lot to offer, especially if you're interested in culture and art and history as well. I mean, seeing the paintings of someone who lived as a Jew in Germany at that time must be pretty fascinating as well. So, yeah, if you want a glimpse of this museum and to see what it looks like, as well as all of the other German destinations that we feature on our podcast, go to our website, thisweekingermany.de, and check out all the photos of every week's destination that we have on there. Next up, our German of the Week section, where we put the spotlight on a prominent person from this week's news, a German citizen, or maybe even a foreigner who we deem an honorary German, who's had an effect, for better or worse, on German culture, society, or politics.
Our German of the Week this episode is the Minister-President of Bavaria, Horst Seehofer. And before we tell you why he's in the spotlight, let's take a look at the man himself. He's currently 66 years old, and he has done a lot for himself in politics. He joined the CSU party, and later he got his first big posting as the Federal Minister of Health. From there, he moved to other leadership positions, such as the Federal Minister of Food, Agriculture, and Consumer Protection, the Chairman of the CSU, the President of the Bundesrat, and even the President of Germany for a short time before being succeeded by the current President, Joachim Gauck. Currently, and as of 2008, Seehofer has been the Minister-President of the great state Bavaria. The reason he is our German of the Week this week is because of what he and his party, the CSU, are threatening to do to their coalition party member, Angela Merkel's CDU. Seehofer is blaming Merkel for the refugee crisis in the country, and is saying that they may challenge her open-door refugee policy in Germany's highest federal courts. Previously, the CSU has threatened that if the federal government would not do anything, then Bavaria would be forced to take matters into their own hands. The CSU and the CDU are part of the same union, but because of the refugee issues in Germany right now, they're not seeing eye to eye.
And Horst Seehofer brings us to the end of episode number 93.
We'd like to invite you to go back to our website, thisweekingermany.de, where you can find tons of content. You can find all our old episodes. You can find all our old destinations, everything that we've talked about in the past. You can also find our social media links like Twitter and Facebook to see what we're up to there. And you can find ways to support us, which we definitely appreciate. All of you that would like to support us and giving us a little bit of money, or going through and giving us a nice review.
Cash money in the bank. So yeah, but don't call them old episodes. Call them like our rich archive of content, man. Makes it sound so much more classier. Yes, go to thisweekingermany.de to check out our rich archive of content. It's a mine of information about Germany.
Not our old episodes, our rich archive.
That's
content.
right. This Week in Germany is produced by Daniel Winter and is written and presented by myself and Rob Bishop.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back in 7 days for more This Week in Germany.